Okay, this is part 2 of the benefits of live-in care for somebody with dementia. And like I said in the last video, there are an awful lot of benefits, but I can't make these videos too long, so I have to keep stopping them. So where did I get to? Yeah, driving to the doctor's surgery, listening, asking the questions that need to be asked, taking down notes, putting all that on our database so that the rest of the family can see if they've got remote login. They can see what happened at the doctor's surgery. Or of course they ring the living carer and the living carer will update them anyway. So you've got a driver, you've got an extra pair of ears, an extra pair of hands, and it's also support obviously for the family carer who has been looking after the person with dementia for years. It's support for them. So all of these tasks that I outlined in the first video, making breakfast, bathing the person with dementia, keeping them clean, tidy, well presented, all of that, the responsibility for that then falls on the family carer. So falls on the care assistant, the live-in carer, so that the family carer can take a break. And a lot of the couples who I'm talking to about this very same subject, they're both in their 80s. So when I'm in my 80s, I want to think that I'm not going to be doing all this hard work, that actually I'm going to be enjoying my retirement. So isn't that what retirement is all about? Kicking back and putting your feet up a bit, and still having an active lifestyle, but not doing all of this care work. There are people like us who can do all of that for you. So it's an excellent solution to an awful lot of problems when you look after somebody with dementia. My list goes on. The benefit, obviously, you stay at home, you stay in your own home, you don't have to go and live in a care village or a care home. So having a living carer means that you've just got one face to get used to, not a whole raft of new faces at the care home who don't know you and don't know your person with dementia. So we can maintain the normal structure of your day. If you want to always get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, then that's what we'll facilitate. The living carer blends into what you want it to be like. So whatever you need, that's the bespoke care package that we provide. If you need to go on trips, so let's forget the hospital appointments. Let's think about much nicer stuff. So say if your person with dementia is, an ornithologist, they love birds, and you have a petting zoo, or near here there's the birds of prey sanctuary down south of Hampshire, so you could go to that, and it's little day out, little trip out. The live-in carer would take everything that you need. They would drive, they would get you there, they would organise the tickets, take you a snack picnic to have whilst you're there, sitting in the sunshine on a picnic bench. You get the picture. They would just take care of everything. So the family carer doesn't have to worry about all of that. It takes a huge amount of pressure off. And let's face it, that's great quality of life for the person with dementia. They're going off and doing things that they enjoy doing. So the other thing that the living carer would do, and there's another list, I'm going to be referring to another list, is something called Assist, and it's another service, free service that we provide, and particularly for live-in carers. This is a great way of keeping an eye on the well-being of the person with dementia. So it's the typical things you'd have to go to the GP surgery for. So it's blood pressure monitoring, breathing and O2 oxygen saturation. Let me just check my list. What else is there? We want you to remain as fit and as healthy as possible. So checking your temperature, checking your alertness. All of these things are things that come as part of the live-in package, so that if you live at a distance from your person with dementia and their husband or wife, your parents or whoever, you can still monitor their health and well-being, because you will see all the data on our database and you can check that remotely. Another little thing that is on the list of benefits of having a live-in care package is that we would do a sort of, what would you call it? An assessment of the house, of the property, of the flat, or wherever it is that you're living, to make sure that it's dementia friendly. And there's a whole raft of things, and I'm not going to go through them, but it's basic things like making sure there are no wires trailing, making sure that the windows are clean so that lots of light comes in, making sure there's sufficient light on the hallway going to the bathroom, so at night the person with dementia literally has the floor lit for them so that they can see their way to the bathroom and hopefully find their way back. Having a living carer obviously means that if there's support needed at night for going to the bathroom and coming back, then they can be up a couple of times a night to facilitate that. If that becomes more frequent a requirement than just a couple of times a night, we would have to then build in a 2-hour break for that live-in carer in the afternoon usually. So we would then backfill that gap with another care assistant to make sure that the live-in carer is getting a decent amount of sleep, obviously, because we have a duty of care for them as well. Where did we get to? Make sure the television is clearly visible for the person with dementia. Check that the carpet isn't fraying. Pick up any mats and rugs that don't need to be there because they're a trip hazard. Possibly considering, if there are problems with going to the loo, possibly considering having a different colour loo seat and removing the loo lid completely. This all makes it easier for somebody with dementia, and it's all about facilitating them staying in their own home for as long as possible. So keeping clutter down. The list could go on. I'm not going to go through that. So there are so many benefits, and people don't think about this. So it's part of my job and the job of the office team to help people to think about these things, because it helps you to stay living in your own home for as long as possible with all of your memories surrounding you, in a place that's familiar to you, where you have lots of, emotional connections. And for you to stay there for as long as possible is absolutely the best thing. So live-in care is a very, very attractive care option for those living with dementia. So please give us a call and discuss it. But I'm hoping I've given you a flavour of the things that you can get with live-in care.